Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, ranking the Toronto Raptors 112-110 win against the Charlotte Hornets, and this game was a thriller. It was a wild watch as a Raptors fan. Both the last couple games have been wild, but fortunately the Raptors came out on top against the Hornets tonight. Sorry for not reacting to the last game. It's been a hectic time for Riker and I trying to get back to school, fly back. Newfoundland has been swamped with some snowstorms, but everything should be back to normal in the coming days. We have a couple trade rumors to react to, but we got to break down this game first, because this game was absolutely wild. The Toronto Raptors, an overtime thriller. Obviously, the Charlotte Hornets aren't a team you'd like to be going to overtime with, and there was points in the game where I thought the Raptors would break out, but the Hornets, they had a lot of fight tonight. They came out, really wanted this W. Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, they wanted the win for their team, but fortunately, with the championship pedigree, the Toronto Raptors came out and got the W, and it was off the backs of the starting unit tonight. It was a tale of two teams for the Raptors. The starters were really good, and the bench was really not good. So we'll start with the positives. We'll break down the starting unit, obviously with Marc Gasol, Norman Powell, Spicy P, now Fred VanVleet out. We have a different starting lineup than we usually have, but Nick Nurse has been adjusting the starting unit, seems like every game with all the injuries and the ups and downs for different players, but TD was inserted in the starting lineup, Terence Davis, and he's the first guy we got to talk about. Remarkable game for TD, no other way to put it. Started off this game on fire, was hitting threes, attacking, had a nasty dunk down the lane, and then as the game went along, he kind of flowed within the flow of the game. I don't know how to put it. Didn't take over like he did at the beginning, but once OT hit, he was back onto that fiery hot hand he had at the first quarter. Knocked down 2 threes in overtime, played really clutch, made one wild pass, but fortunately Serge Ibaka was able to catch it and ended up being the game-winning free throw. So it was just a great all-around game from TD, and in his first NBA career start, looking like a guy that could be a superstar for a team. So maybe some more things for Nick Nurse to look at, but I'm sure TD is fine with where he's at with his current role, and it's nice to see him be able to step up. The Toronto Raptors have so many guys that can come in and just play big minutes when people are out, and that's why we've been able to at least compete in basically every game we've played in. So shout out to Raptors, shout out to TD, but there's a lot of other guys in the starting unit that played well tonight. OG Anunoby, 19 points, 7 rebounds. He's a guy that a lot of people have been kind of bagging on, saying that he needed to step up a lot more when Spicy P went out, and I'm in full agreement. I've been of the mindset that OG Anunoby's got to show that he can carry more of a load, and honestly, as he's given more opportunity, he's struggled more, which is a weird thing to see. The beginning of the year, he was just the first surefire role player for this team, and he was hitting shots consistently, had the ball in his hands less, and looked more comfortable on the floor. I don't know if it's seasonal fatigue or what it is, but as of late, he's really struggled to look comfortable, and that's a big thing with OG. People that listen to the podcast know I've been talking about this forever. I'm of the belief when OG looks comfortable, he has the potential to be one of the top two-way wings in the Eastern Conference in the league. You know, as a role player. I'm not saying he's going to be LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard or anything like that just yet. But he was one of the league leaders in three-point shooting at the start of the year, and he's able to slash. We've seen tonight how well he can dunk around the rim, finish, and his handle looks fine this season when he's not forcing it, because when he's forcing it, he just gets out of control and he always ends up on the ground. So tonight's a game from OG. I'd like to see him play with this mindset night in, night out. Had a couple of really nice slashes and one really nice one down in the clutch of this game. Did a nice sweep through on the wing and just said, no, I'm not taking no layups. I'm not taking any help defense stopping me in my tracks. I'm just going to yam it. That's what OG did. I like to see that aggressive mindset. So very positive takeaway from this game from OG. Patrick McCaw, he had a solid night as well, 13 points. 5 rebounds, but the big thing to look at is 11 assists. The ball was in his hands. Now that he's not running the floor with Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, 2 other point guards, obviously TD is more of a shooting guard, Patrick McCaw had more of a ball handling role, and McCaw looked confident tonight. He's been inconsistent in his tenure now that he's come back from injury, and Nick Nurse has always given him the opportunities, and games like this, you understand why Nick Nurse loves McCaw so much. He plays great defense, but that's a baseline to just be on the Toronto Raptors roster. And on offense, he's unorthodox. He's a player you don't really see, because when he's confident, and I'm prefacing this, when McCaw's playing good, he's a guy that can knock down threes. He knocked down a 3 tonight, which you need to be in today's league. He's a guy that can slash, which is necessary, but what really sets him apart is he has the IQ for a wing player. He's a guy that can really facilitate, make passes that just lead to great opportunities. Not just the point guard, nice flashy dimes, but the plays that the hockey assists. And this is what we've been talking about McCaw since he first came over, before he really took that next step in his game, which we've seen this year. He's always had a tremendous feel for the game. He knows when to pass it, when to make the right play. And that paired with his ability to make those point guard style passes when he's in the pick and roll and that sort of stuff. It's just nice to see McCaw have a positive game. Now, the next thing for him is being able to do it on a consistent basis. And we'll see if that's the case going forward. He'll have a great opportunity to do that still with Siakam out for a while. Norm is coming back soon, but I'm sure Nick Nurse is not going to take away many minutes from McCaw. He loves McCaw too much to relegate the minutes, but yeah, and then Serge Ibaka tonight, 10 of 19 from the field, 23 points, 11 rebounds, and the Toronto Raptors went through some very cold spurts on the offensive end. It seemed like Serge Ibaka's just aggressiveness, ability to make an easy shot around the rim, grind for a rebound, or have a ball end up in his hands and knock down an easy mid-range jumper, knock down a shot that just got the offense rolling. So without Serge tonight, without that kind of momentum swinging that he brought to the table, we would not have been in a good position. Certainly would have lost us. And 23 and 10, remarkable game for Serge Ibaka, and hit the game-winning free throws. He was 0 for 3 from the free throw line, and wasn't looking good at the last free throws in this one, but knocked down 2 to ice the game. And who knows, maybe if he hit 1, then the Heroes there, someone would have been more confident to drive and slash on TD. But Ibaka, doing it in the clutch, doing it when it matters. And the last starter, Kyle Lowry, our Hall of Fame point guard, NBA champion, all-star, didn't have the greatest game tonight. Didn't have the greatest floor game. It was 4 of 13 from the field, 15 points, 9 assists. Doing Kyle Lowry things. But when it mattered, Kyle Lowry showed up. And I'm going to save that specific play for the segments. But he did miss those 2 free throws at the end in overtime after he trampled a Charlotte Hornets player. But I think it's more the basketball gods or some basketball karma getting back at Lowry, because the refs did call a blocking foul when Kyle Lowry kind of was a bit out of control, trampled a guy. But the game ended up for the best, and Lowry did hit a shot that would have been the game winner. So shout out Kyle, he's my guy, always balling out for the Toronto Raptors. Now we'll take a look at briefly talk about the bench, who struggled tonight, combined for 16, 19 points. Chris Boucher came out, knocked down a 3. Didn't do too much else for the rest of the game. Played some solid defense, got some rebounds, got some blocks, but wasn't a positive at all out there tonight. And that's a rarity for Boucher. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, again, played solid defense, but wasn't really an impact guy on the court. Missed a couple shots around the rim. And made a couple. It wasn't a great game for Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. Matt Thomas, back from injury. Still, again tonight, wasn't the sharpest from this 3-point stroke. He's Mr. Automatic. When he was at the start of the season, he looked like Mr. Automatic, and the past couple games, he's missed a few open threes, was 2 of 6 from the 3-point line tonight, and a couple of them were completely wide open. So Matt Thomas is out there for his shooting. He's not really bringing much to you. I'd say he's our worst defender on the roster, at least from the small sample size I've seen of him, and he's out there to get a bucket, get us a 3-point shot, be our JJ Redick. And unfortunately didn't have it here tonight, but that's to be expected. You can't expect a shooter that's been out for a month and a half to automatically have it right back on lock as soon as he comes back. So I'm sure he'll be fine in a couple games or so, just like any of our players. When they come back from injury, it always takes a couple games to get them reintegrated. And finally, before we swing into the segments, Stanley Johnson, O'Shea Brissett didn't really have it tonight. Brissett missed a good few shots that he probably could have made. I didn't mind his aggression, didn't mind how he came out and was ready to rock, but had 3 fouls, 0 points, 0 assists, 0 steals, 1 rebound, 0 blocks, 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 3 from the 3-point line. And, the shots weren't going in, wasn't really getting many boards. You can't have him on the court for too long if he's not producing like that. Probably the worst game I've seen of Brissett so far since he's been integrated into the lineup with all these injuries. Stanley Johnson, once again, hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity he's been given. A lot of Raptors fans have been calling for him to get his opportunity, and past few games, Nick Nurse has given him a leash, given him, a solid rotation, not just 3 or 4 minutes, a solid 8 minutes to see if he could get a bucket, do something positive out there on the court, and just hasn't really done it. And I think looking at him, he shows the intangibles of being a good player, but it just hasn't translated just yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in coming games if Nick Nurse continues to give him the leash, if Brissett or Johnson continue to get the minutes, especially when Norman Powell comes back, because he was balling before he went down with injury. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we're going to swing it straight into the segments tonight. The spicy P-lay of the day. It's going to my guy Kyle Lowry, hitting what should have been the game winner if it wasn't for a jersey pull by Serge Ibaka. Came down the lane. He missed a shot the possession prior. I believe the Raptors got an offensive rebound. NBA champion Kyle Lowry, he knows he's been here before, knows what he has to do to win. Gets Bismack Biyombo of all players out on the switch on the perimeter. And Biz was trying to get a swat for bragging rights. Biz is really a Toronto Raptor. He's still homies with all the guys, and Lowry took him off the dribble, blew past him, got by his former teammate, and Lowry finished with the left off the glass. Great read, great finish, and really saved the day for the Toronto Raptors. So shout out Kyle Lowry. Great. They put us up 1, and then the Hornets ended up hitting a free throw, and then the game went to overtime. But that was an exciting play for our NBA champion. So shout out to Kyle Lowry, but not all plays can be the spicy P-lay of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the OG's play of the day, it's going to my guy Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. He's been Hustle Jefferson. He's known for getting rebounds, finishing around the rim. Still not known for his three-point shooting. Really struggles from out there, and I don't mind that he's taking them every now and then. Even though the jumper looks a bit broken, I want to see him get his confidence because he's working on that shot, and if he can hit it at a 30% clip, a 28% clip, then he's going to be because then you have to moderately guard him. You can't just completely sag off him like Ben Simmons. If he can hit it at that rate, then that'll be a huge positive for his game. And tonight, he did shoot it, which I don't mind. I don't want to see it in a game where it's really close or anything like that, but shot an open 3, air ball again. Definitely made me say, oh, geez, but hopefully there's progression. Hopefully you see him knock down a couple now in the next week or so, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that develops. And finally, we'll end it off with the infamous, the one, the only, Damari Carroll Gold Star Award. And tonight, it's going to Terry Rozier, the Charlotte Hornets. Hit 46 minutes tonight, had 27 points, which may look good, but only 3 assists for their point guard. Or I guess he plays shooting guard, and Devontae Graham plays more of point guard role. But 9 of 24 from the field, 5 of 14 from the three-point line, and hit some shots. Was a positive offensive contributor, but he's getting it for the end of the game. And TD obviously had a monstrous performance tonight. Clamped Terry Rozier at the last possession. Terry Rozier ended up missing the game winner. And after the game, TD's just kind of walking away. Terry Rozier just goes up to him and starts pointing it at him. Maybe TD said something that I missed or something like that, but to get that dramatic after you lost, that's just whack. That's just whack. TD's an undrafted guy coming in here, clamping this man's, and I like Terry Rozier for the memes. I like seeing the random stuff he does and repping the Bloods and all that sort of stuff in the highlights, but I'm not a big fan of Terry Rozier. Just I wouldn't want him on my team, but he's a quality meme. But he's getting the Damari Carroll Gold Star for going at TD at the end of this game. But to be fair, he did hit a few shots on OT, which was nice. Maybe he thought he was getting that one. He was just frustrated. But getting the Damari Carroll Gold Star from me. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough. You're the best to make it this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Raptors, big W tonight. Continue to fight in that Eastern Conference race. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, some trade rumors coming out, so I'm sure Riker and I will break those down the coming days. Yeah, anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.